What's going on, guys, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Dynamic Podcast. I'm here with my co-host Dylan. Dylan, once again, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing alright. About yourself?
Just ready, sit down, talk about a little bit of sports. You know how it goes.
Of course.
Yep, that's what we love to do.
What we got on the letter for tonight?
Well, as you know, the NFL Combine was this past weekend. A lot of big stories coming out of there. People starting to get a real picture of what it's really going to look like in the draft this year. So,
Sure. You want to hit that up first?
yeah, we can get right into that.
All right. So I'll ask you this question. What was the most impressive performance to you out of the entire combine?
I'd say anytime a guy who has one arm bench presses 20 times and then runs a 4.38 40-yard dash, he probably made an impression on quite a few people.
Yeah. I mean, he runs running a 4.38 is faster than some of the receivers in the draft.
Yeah, and running backs.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know.
Freaking athlete.
I don't know if he's going to step right in his first year and be a starter on an NFL defense. He might start off on special teams or something, but I don't know.
Mhm.
Obviously, college and NFL game are a lot different. He had a lot of success in college. He made a lot of tackles. He was like top in the FBS last year, I think.
Yeah. He
What a top.
also was top in quarterback pressures.
Yep. So obviously the NFL game is much faster, which we don't know how that's going to affect him. Only having one arm, but we'll see.
Very true. Very true. So with the Shaquille Griffin, where do you see him going?
That is also a good question. I don't know. I don't see him going in the first couple rounds, to be honest with you.
You don't think team needs or you don't think everyone is in a dire need of a guy like him?
You see, I don't. I feel like the arm thing might drop his stock a little bit.
Yeah.
But, I think that could make him a mid rounder, third, fourth, fifth around that area, which doesn't necessarily, that's not writing him off in any way. Aaron Hernandez was what, seventh round pick or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, either way, you get drafted, you get drafted. Cool.
Right. He's going to go and make an impact wherever he goes. I feel like whoever gets him is getting a steal because I think he is one of those top round talents, but I just don't think he's on really high on anyone's board. Maybe that'll change after the combine. We don't know. These guys will release 5 other mock drafts before the thing comes up because that's what they do for a living.
Yeah. Yeah, you get that right. No, and I love to see
How easy is that job? How easy is that job? Sitting, you just sit down at home and you predict who someone's going to draft.
That and you just watch. Yeah, you essentially just go to pro days and the combine and just watch.
Right,
Awesome.
and you get to predict. You could be completely wrong about everything. Well, I guess not completely. You got to have some points eventually, but for the most part, you could be wrong about almost anybody, and
Yeah.
yeah, you get paid for
Yeah, it's awesome. It's like being a weatherman.
it.
Bro, I gotta tell you, just real quick side track, man. They got made. They get paid a big money to be wrong. It's fantastic.
And it's okay to be wrong.
But yeah. Anyway, no, but yeah, guys like Mel Kiper and really anyway, Charlie Cashley and Cashley. Don't get me wrong, he's a former NFL GM, but at the same time, it's so congratulations, you get to pick. You essentially get to make a list and project the first round.
Right. Me and you could do it right now.
Yeah, pretty much.
And after watching the combine, we'll start my mock draft off at number 1, as all the greats do. If we're being honest, after watching the combine, if the Cleveland Browns do not take Saquon Barkley with the first pick, I think they're crazy.
Yeah, especially with them having number 4 pick too, and considering the two teams that separate the picks, the Giants and the Colts.
Right. Trust me, no one's taking Josh Allen with the second or third pick if you want him. No one's taking, Rosen or Darnold, whoever you think is the guy in this, what people are calling this great quarterback class. I mean, I'm not really seeing it. I know Josh Allen has big arm potential and all that, but Since when does that define you as a quarterback, being able to throw the ball far down the field? The guy from UCF, what's his name? I
Oh,
can't. You know what I'm talking about, right?
yeah, I know you're talking about.
He can throw the ball like 70 yards down the field. He's not getting drafted first overall. The fact of the matter is, you draft Saquon Barkley, you're automatically gonna.
You're automatically better. It's instantly.
Right. And
he's a freakish athlete.
I can guarantee you this: you don't take him with that first pick, you ain't getting him with that fourth pick.
Yeah, I could say even if the Giants had like a defensive or like an offensive lineman, like high up on their board, I think Saquon would leapfrog him. Everyone.
I don't think you can pass up on a guy like that.
Yeah, I mean, they need a running back too. I mean, Vereen and Darkwa, whatever the hell. I mean,
yeah, their running game has never really, back, since in 2008 when they had Bradshaw and Brandon Jacobs, that's when they kind of had a established running game. Yeah. But since then, not they haven't really ever been known for that. It's chuck the ball up to Odell and
Yeah.
Imagine having Odell Beckham and Saquon Barkley on the same offense.
Mhm. Yeah, you got that right. I mean, even still, like they were projected. I think the coaching, shenanigans that they encountered with Ben McAdoo and all that were a big distraction and injury to Odell definitely didn't help. But I mean, assuming everyone's healthy, it's still a very potent offense as is. And still, Brandon Marshall's returning, Odell, Doug Shepard, Evan Ingram, who is essentially a receiver, who still happens to play tight end, and if you get Barkley, that's insane.
Now all you gotta do is find some guys that open up some holes for him, and you can have one of the most explosive offenses in the league.
Yeah, I mean, hell, you can easily rival Pittsburgh in that regard if you get that offensive lineup.
On Barkley alone, you can become one of the most explosive. Because this guy, I mean, let's be honest, he can do it all. I mean, anyone who saw the combine knows that. The guy did 29 on the bench press. He runs a 4.440.
I don't know why, but this out of him, like when he cleans at 4.65, like that's insanity.
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, he's pretty strong. Pretty strong guy.
Yeah. He's got all the explosion in the world to be, and he showed it in college, and this is why he's going to be top 5 pick. Hopefully, I mean, should be number 1, but I mean,
he's just one of those guys. You see him, and you're like, he's just everything you look for.
Pretty much,
I mean, he's a Pro Bowl caliber player already.
Yeah, I don't think he's a guy you say, oh, he's too good to be true. I'm like, no.
He's true.
He's true, and he's really good.
He also had a 41-inch vertical, ran a 4.24 on the shuttle. He can cut on a dime.
All props to the world to him. Worked his ass off.
I mean, he pretty much, led that hurting Penn State program, back into prominence. And obviously he didn't do it all by himself, but he had a very hefty portion of it.
Definitely. Especially when they got signed out the sanctions. I mean, I think he definitely helped James Franklin out big time.
Might have saved his job. To be honest with you, I mean, I remember before they got on that big run last year when they beat Ohio State and all those guys, a lot of people believed he was on his way out.
Yeah, I mean, because they started off the year like rough. They were at 2-2.
2-2, lost to Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do actually remember watching that game.
That was an awesome game. I do remember watching it. It was like 50. It was like 45, 41, something like that.
Yeah.
Deshaun Hamilton dropped the game. Would have been a game-winning touchdown. I remember. It's like, and then you just watch the rest of the season. Like, after that game, how many people do you think would have possibly thought that they'd end up, what a lot of people thought got snubbed from the college football playoffs?
Yeah. I mean, whether they made it and whether they been worth the crap in the playoffs is a different story. But I mean, still, it's been awesome to go. But I mean, at the same time, I think the Rose Bowl definitely did disappoint.
That was
might have been one of the craziest college football games.
Might have been one of the best. Definitely, that's probably one of the top 3 college football games I've ever watched.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of great college football games, but I haven't
Yeah.
watched play to play all those games. You know, you hear about them, you see the highlights eventually, and
Yeah, like I've heard, like I mean, I was like I've heard so much about the 2005 USC Texas game.
yeah,
I know it was,
I would be lying if I said I remember watching that game because I didn't. I don't. I
yeah,
was probably in bed when it was getting played.
yeah, yeah. I don't remember watching the game, but I mean, I'll say that was a crazy game on the watch. The Clemson Bama, the second national championship between them. That was fantastic.
Games like that make you proud to be a college football fan. They really do.
Yeah, like, it's definitely. Yeah, I mean, because the championships are like played on like what Monday nights, and like they kick off on 9. You already know your Sam's like 1 o'clock because college football alone takes like 4 hours to play.
Even this year, that was an awesome game. You know, Tagovailoa coming in and leading the
Yeah,
comeback, a freshman.
they that was really awesome. That was a great championship game.
And now Nick Saban. Who do you start next year?
I had to take Tua.
You know, a little early to start talking about it now. But let me tell you something. Tagovailoa looked like he could really throw that football. I'll say that.
Yeah, it's like the thing is that what he had that Jalen Hurts didn't have was like conviction. He had focus.
Absolutely.
Tua let it fly against probably top 5 defense in the country.
And you know, you're watching that game, and you know, it wasn't really well documented that Alabama had this gunslinger of a backup quarterback. I mean, you're watching Jalen Hurts out there, and you're like, man, Alabama's in a prayer right now. Like, how are they? You know.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah.
And then to see him come in and lead that comeback, and then ultimately go on and win in overtime, you know, they got at least 2 more years with this guy. You know, like.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about this like afterwards. I was like, hey, bro, I mean, how much want to bet Lane Kiffin's about to blow up Jalen Hurts' phone? Come on over to Florida Atlantic. Because I mean,
You know,
the performance he put on is just it's gonna be hard.
say he does stay in Alabama, I'm sure Nick Saban will draw up some kind of package for him. You know, he's a mobile guy. He can do more. He can do everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure if he stays in Alabama, it's not just Jalen Hurts going to be riding the bench all season. You're going to see him in the game in some way. I mean, the kid's too athletic just to.
Sure, very true.
But yeah, you know what? Still staying on this mode of great college football games. The most exciting game I think I ever watched was that Auburn Alabama game when Chris Davis ran back the missed field goal.
Oh, the kick return. Yeah.
That was bizarre to say the least.
Yeah, that was. Like I got chills because the game the thing was the game was like at Auburn, so you could just feel the crowd like lose its mind. That was an awesome game, like, definitely.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move back into the combine here a little bit. Any more guys you'd like to highlight here, Dylan? Any special performances? You know.
Well, I mean, I would like to take like an opportunity maybe to go through because we're, I'm a Patriots fan, you're a Ravens fan. Like, is there like highlighting team needs or like guys you wish could fall to our team? Do you have any like guy or guys from plural that you hope that fall to the Ravens?
Any receiver that can catch or get open.
So should we talk this one up? Calvin Ridley, because it fills the Alabama requirement that Ozzie Newsome has for like his first round pick.
Well, he's not a defensive player,
We want the Bama.
I mean, yeah, obviously Calvin Ridley. I've seen a lot of reports that the Bears at number 8 could be, chomping at the bit to get Calvin Ridley. But say he gets past the Bears, and the Ravens are sitting at that 16th pick, and Calvin Ridley's still there. I would be pretty upset if that's not who they go with.
But I also think there's not a plethora of receivers to pick from too. Like even if Calvin Ridley wasn't there, I think you still have room. I think it might be still worth taking a receiver.
Right, that's what I don't understand. People are acting like after Calvin Ridley, it's just like such a huge drop off. Christian Kirk is still there. Sutton from SMU.
Mm-hmm.
Who else am I missing there? I know there's a couple other guys that are people are pretty high on.
Yeah,
I mean,
besides,
DJ Moore out of Maryland. If you're looking
yeah,
for a speed guy, I mean, the Ravens definitely need that with Joe Flacco being a big arm guy. Um,
yeah. And also go I think it's Chark from LSU,
right. Yep, that's another option. So
Washington from Oklahoma State. He's like a home run. He's a home run threat.
right. He was number 28 or something, right? Something weird.
What did you say?
Wasn't he like number 28 or something? Something really really weird for a
Yeah,
receiver.
he wore a red number. He's a receiver.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, definitely got a plethora to pick from. I mean, there's no shortage of
And
no shortage of offensive talent in this draft.
if you don't go receiver, fine, but you need an offensive playmaker with your first pick. I'd say with them, it's all your picks. You need offensive playmakers. You don't have any except Alex Collins, but I've seen reports lately that they're talking about trading Alex Collins.
Who do they get for him?
I didn't really read that much into it, but I really wouldn't understand that one. I think I saw was because they have Kenneth Dixon coming back next year that they don't really need Alex Collins. Um, Before Kenneth Dixon got hurt, tore his ACL, and was out for the season, he was suspended for 10 games anyway.
Yeah,
That's the guy you want to take a risk off. One injured, two was suspended for 10 games for PEDs. And you just had Alex Collins, who missed like the first 2 or 3 games of the season and still ran for well over 1,000 yards. I don't understand how that's not the guy you're going to go with. Trade Kenneth Dixon if you're going to get rid of a back.
sure.
Let someone else take a shot on him.
Yeah,
Alex Collins has done nothing but improve since coming into the league, so why would you ship him off now? I mean, that game we went to in Pittsburgh, we saw them run all over that Pittsburgh defense. It is a Pittsburgh defense. They're terrible, god awful. One of the worst defense I've ever seen, maybe. But, you know, he's got explosiveness for sure.
yeah. No, I mean he's perfect for the Ravens because like what they do, like they run, like I mean like for a morning break, he runs like the zone run concept, and he fit. I think like he felt pretty well in that. How outside zone alone killed Pittsburgh for like a buck 20.
Sure did. Yup, get in the hole, make a cut, boom, gone.
Yeah, I mean, it's one cut back, and he's really good at it. And I mean, I actually remember him watching him when he was with Seattle, like during the preseason. Like he was like electrifying back, but I mean, I don't know, like I guess the Seahawks were content with Forsyth and Thomas Rawls, which is understandable. But I mean, Ravens found gold out of someone else's trash.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. If the Ravens don't sign him, I don't even think they're in a position in that Cincinnati game to even be playing for a playoff spot.
Sure. Also a good point.
You know, I won't ever forget this on 4th and 2 late in that game when it was 2017 at the time I want to say, and the Ravens this was the famous Marty Morningweg call a sweep on 4th and 2. Sweep is obviously going nowhere. You could see it as soon as he pitched the ball that that plays up. Well, looks like we're going to have to stop him again. And Alex Collins reverses field and goes all the way back across the other side of the field and scores a touchdown. And that's not a very common thing if you don't watch a lot of NFL games. That doesn't really happen that often. It takes a pretty special guy to be able to do that.
Yeah, especially on a sweep.
Right. With a great lead block from Joe Flacco on the play, by the way.
Yeah. Okay.
Doesn't matter. We still lost. But anyway, yes, I think the Ravens should take a receiver, but I never really know what they're thinking. I mean, the last receiver they picked was Brashad Perriman, so I'm not going to really hold my breath on them hitting on their first round pick. I mean, Stanley, thinking of the past first round pick, Stanley is he's all right. He's not a bust like the other ones. But I mean, they've taken Brashad Perriman, Matt Elam. Just some very shaky first round picks here lately. C.J. Mosley was really good, but
I mean, he had his like sophomore slump. So I mean, we'll see. We'll see like how he returns this year. How he comes, this coming year.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree. You guys need some like offensive firepower. You need like an electric player.
I mean, I'll be watching games and like people are yelling at Flacco, throw the ball. I mean, one, he had the most beat up O line probably in the league. I mean, maybe not the Colts or the
I think
Giants.
it might be the like Colts maybe or the Seahawks. The Seahawks just suck.
Okay, what? So he didn't always have the time to throw the ball. Two, I'd be looking. No one's ever open. There's no one can get separation. I thought maybe bringing Macklin in would be able to do that for them, but yeah, Macklin, man, he was way, way, way under the expectations I had.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually kind of like, oh crap, Ravens are gonna be contending really. They're gonna go for a real contending contending spot this year because I think Macklin is gonna be like a big key because he has a veteran presence. He knows what he's doing. Like he's been in the league for 10 years, and I thought he was gonna provide a really good boost for the offense. But yeah, that didn't turn out too well.
No, not really. I mean, Ben Watson led the team in receiving, a 52-year-old tight end. So
Time is wonderful.
it's like, I don't know. And then I also think that maybe Morningweg's part of the issue, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what this year brings. I have a feeling if they start next season and the offense is looking like another this year, I think old Marty might be in trouble for his job. And if the Ravens don't make the playoffs next year, old Harbaugh and all his boys will also be in trouble for their jobs. So
yeah,
I don't think there's any way you can justify after 4 straight years of missing the playoffs.
Yeah.
And they got a tough schedules coming up, so they better figure something out if they want to save their asses.
Yep, they got the NFC South coming up this year, so that's gonna be a real tough one.
Mm-hmm. You ain't gonna get so lucky and get to play E.J. Manuel and Matt Moore and Brett Hundley and T.J. Yates.
Yeah,
you ain't gonna get that lucky this year.
Yeah, especially when all the NFC South teams could be projected, to cure viable playoff teams.
Right. So we'll see. I mean, where would you like to see the Pats go in the draft? I mean, they just went to yet another Super Bowl. Obviously, they're doing something right up there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like consistent success, but I mean, at the same time, there's only so much coaching and guys who have effort. That's fantastic, but you need if you need to be over the top, you need to have one guy that can be electric on at least one little both sides of the ball.
I think you'll agree with this one. This might have been one of the least talented Pats Super Bowl teams in the Brady Belichick era.
On the defensive side, yes.
Not only, I mean, they had, on the other teams they had Moss, Deion Branch early on, Wes Welker.
Yeah, but I mean, I agree. But at the same time, the defense with Mike Vrabel, Tim Bruschi, with Seymour, Vince Wilfork, Asante Samuel, Rodney Harrison.
Right.
They weren't struggling on defense. But the problem that I had was when Hightower went down on IR, and essentially half of our linebacking core was from the Bills practice squad. I mean, Marquise Flowers and Eric Lee. I mean, don't get me wrong, they did well enough, to lead us to the Super Bowl and all that to help us out. But it's not you need to get something. I mean, just for the pass rush, Trey Flowers is an emerging stud. So is Dietrich Wise. I both like them. They're young guys. But I mean, we need I just don't know they need an electric pass rusher or not pass rusher, but on the defensive line, somewhere in the front seven. If you're gonna pick defensively with your first round pick, this is when we don't trade it. It has to be. I would say it has to be defense. But I mean, if you wanted to make your offense insane, which I mean I think it already is, but you can only go up with the Pats essentially. Brady makes everything work.
Right.
But, I would love them to see them get Sonny Michel if he's so happy to fall to the Pats.
I mean, it's
I
such
mean,
a
I
it's
wouldn't even hate Nick Chubb because I feel like there's a part of me that feels like Michel's gonna get picked before Chubb.
I don't think Chubb fits what the Pats do.
Yeah, but
He's not really a James White prototype. I think Michelle fits that more.
Yeah, like he can run between the tackles, run outside, and he can catch the ball out of the backfield.
Right.
And that's exactly what the Patriots would do. So that would be like a perfect fit. Um, I'm curious to see what because a big question. I heard some rumors that Nate Solder's a free agent this year, so I'm not sure if we're gonna let him walk or
He's gonna get paid. That's for sure.
yeah. So I mean, I don't know if he'll want to stay with the Pats or we're gonna spend a pick on him. I mean, as much as if you want to spend a pick, I mean, I'd love to get McGlinchey from Notre Dame, but to be realistic, he ain't gonna fall out. There's no chance in hell he falls to the Pats.
Orlando Brown.
I mean, Orlando Brown. The problem, I just don't know. There's a question to me. Like, people say, we're in a 5'8", 40. Like, let's be honest with each other. Who the hell? What kind of offense
Is ever gonna have to sprint 40 yards down the field? Yeah, absolutely. I don't even know why they make him do it.
Unless you're the only time you're spending 4 yards to catch is to meet up with somebody in the end zone.
And they do that quite well,
Yeah. So I mean, other than that, I think if you wanted to take the 40-yard dash, and use it as a gauge, what you should measure for an offensive lineman is their 10-yard split, because that measures explosion, which is probably the quickest it'll be, and then after 10 yards it gets essentially pointless.
Right.
So I mean, I'm not sure what the split was, but if you had a good 10-yard split that was explosive and all that, I would be open to it. I'm concerned with his, being a big guy. He's 6'8", 335. I'm a little concerned if he can, handle the Von Millers of the world, Von Millers of the league, or the Khalil Macks, guys who go really fast. Like pass rush, off the edge. But I don't know. I mean, that's another area of concern if we don't resign Nate Solder. I hope we do, but I don't know yet. Free agency opens up in 10 days.
You know what's a funny thing that I hear I don't know if I just noticed it recently, but people always say, with the Patriots, it's Super Bowl or bust. It's isn't that what it's like with every team in the isn't that what everybody wants to get? Isn't that your goal at the beginning of the season every year? Let's go win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not just it's not just the Pats that want to win Super Bowls.
I mean, let's be I guess if you're I don't know, NFL Network, do you go into let's go I don't know, the Browns. Let's go up to Hugh Jackson hey coach, what's your goal for this year? It's you really think?
Oh, my goal is to win 5 games.
Yeah, win 5 games. Hopefully get another high draft pick next year. Start continuing to go. No.
It's just like going and asking a player, who's the best player at your position? Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, I suck.
Yeah. I'm terrible, man. But the guy. Let's see. Yeah, take example. Let's ask Vontez Burfict. I mean, who's the best back? Who's the best linebacker? Who's the best player position? Oh, Ryan Shazier is definitely.
Hands down.
No.
Not even comparison.
Vince Williams is the best linebacker, hands down. Yeah, do you really think you would expect Vontez or any player to say otherwise?
I mean, first of all, the egos of some of these guys are big enough to even wonder why they'd say anyone else in the first place. But speaking of which, did you hear about what Jalen Ramsey said to the recruiters?
No.
To Texas A&M? They made this recruiting thing. He went to A&M now. And they put this thing together, all the corners that played for him at Florida State. And Jalen Ramsey tweeted at him and said, don't include me in your presentation or whatever because you didn't teach me a thing about playing cornerback.
Oh, shit.
I, he's an asshole, man.
You don't have to tell me. I already know. I already know. Problem is, the thing is, he can back it up.
He can. He's a great cornerback. You know, way better than his boy Bouye over there.
Yeah, I mean, no, like, I mean, we talked about this, like they took pride, he's gonna lock down Antonio Brown this week. Yeah, well, Bouye definitely doesn't. Gave up no pass touchdowns all year, and all of a sudden he dropped 2.
Yep.
That was another thing too. Like, I mean, I think I think it's also pretty like how great, how really good Antonio Brown is. I was watching, a game I went to 2 years ago with during the Broncos championship year game in Pittsburgh. Chris Harris had not allowed a passing touchdown ever in just about 2 seasons at the time.
Right.
And Antonio Brown shredded him for 2. Like,
well, yeah.
I'm not sure any other receiver in the league can do that.
Antonio Brown is the exception.
Yeah, like he's the truth. But yeah.
Ever since I saw him catch that ball on the sideline on 3rd and forever against the Ravens in the playoff game, I know.
I'm pretty sure we all know. One way or another. But yeah, getting back to the golf travel, but going back to the combine, I mean, Sonny Michel would be great if he fell. I think I'd join if I fell. If Sonny Michel fell pass. I would, and I guess for the defensive guy, I wouldn't hate getting. There's this one guy from Texas San Antonio, Marcus Davenport.
I've heard about him. Yeah.
6'6", 264. He ran a 4.58 40, which, I mean, granted, at the same time, not taking much stock in it because.
Right. It's nowhere near the same as when there's a guy standing across from you.
Yeah, defensive end should be going. I mean, you should be like that sprint. Like you're sprinting. You're taking this first step. Other than that, you're not going in a straight line.
Right.
I mean, he's a very explosive athlete. He has a 10.4 broad jump, which is pretty good. I mean, I'd love to see his pro day, but we'll definitely see how that goes. I mean, I wouldn't. Yeah, like it's if the Patriots can pick like a front 7, and like I know there's like also I've heard rumors about like Tilly and Sherman, maybe one of them, if not both will go into the building.
I would.
Not
God Almighty.
Could you imagine? That's just one of them.
Right, just one of them automatically makes your defense better.
Yeah.
You have to get both. And they both get to cover they go get to cover John Doe on the Jets for 2 games a year. Who even is a Jets receiver right now on the roster?
All I know is Quincy Newborn. That's it. And that's Robbie Anderson.
Right.
Other than that, I couldn't tell you.
All you gotta say about that. But anyway, yeah, that's the combine. To kind of overviewing the big top guys. Let's talk about this one more guy. Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't run a 40 as we were talking about earlier, which I really would have thought that I mean, this report I'm reading here said there was no reason for him to run a 40-yard dash. I mean, everybody's they've seen it.
Can we do it? No.
They know he's an explosive athlete, all that.
True. I mean, here's the thing I'll bring up. If Lamar Jackson, like there's been a debate of whether
can we do
switch to receiver or not. Do you think that debate, like if he wants to stay quarterback, it would be better for him to not run the 40? Because say he runs the 40 and like absolutely lights it up, runs like a 4.5 or whatever. I think when a guy would a team would take him and be like, hey, we're switching to the receiver, and like it would be against his will if he wants to spot.
Right.
So I feel a big reason why he didn't do it was because he wanted to still like keep the big receiver quality of having explosive downfield speed off the off the table, and more focus on his quarterback, quarterback throws and throwing passing through all that stuff.
That is a good point. I mean, he has made it clear that he didn't want to work out as a receiver at the combine. He wanted to do the throwing drills because he does plan on being a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And, it'll be interesting to see where he lands in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, like I think there was a little bit of discussion, with Deshaun Watson last year. About
there was, but Watson wasn't quite as a mobile guy in
as
college as Jackson.
Yeah, but I mean, it was still like had he not gone to the Texans, I think I don't think he'd be nowhere as successful as he is.
You're right, but boy was he when he played last year. My God,
Yeah, they were wrong.
But we talked about it on last week's episode. I still think, I don't know because they just gave Bortles the extension, but I still think Jacksonville could really be a place where he could go in and have a chance to play right away. I know they just gave Bortles the big extension, but I don't understand why, to be honest with you. I mean, yes, he went to the AFC Championship game. I understand. But you know what else I've seen? I've seen Joe Flacco go and win a Super Bowl MVP and then continue to downslide these last 4 years since then.
Yeah, like the thing with Blake Bortles is they had such a great defense. Like he was
right. Was Bortles good enough to where you got to the AFC Championship game, or was he riding that defense that was great to get to the AFC Championship game?
I think we shouldn't take all the credit away from Bortles. I mean, he didn't turn the ball over at all the entire playoffs.
He didn't.
Which is
they didn't try. They didn't put him in a position to turn the ball over anyway. They handed it off 50 times.
He definitely made some throws when he needed to, like especially against they came out firing against New England. He was dropping dimes. He was able to sustain it against Pittsburgh a little bit.
He did.
But I mean, it wasn't. It was good, but it's nothing spectacular. It's not. I'm not putting that as a quarterback if you're asking if that's like if you want to go face his paycheck. Not a quarterback at all. I mean, he's essentially making quarterback money. But he's not spectacular. I think he needs to take another step if he wants to be seriously considered as I guess like a premier quarterback of the new age. Because
he's running. He was he's not a a young up and comer anymore. This is what his 5th year coming up, I believe.
4th or 5th.
4th or 5th. What year did he get drafted?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's gonna be like.
Wait a minute. This is only his 3rd. That can't be right.
What?
No. Okay, that's just the past couple of years. I thought this thing was telling me it was only his 3rd year in the league. I was like, there's no way.
Yeah, there's no way.
Drafted in 2014. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so this will be his 4th year.
14, 15, 16, 17, 18.
Or
5th. His 5th year, yeah. And, his best year was his 2nd year. He threw for 4,400 yards, 35 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. Now, it is the most interceptions he's thrown in his career, and the touchdowns have gone way down the past 2 years, 23 and 21. Now, I don't know what the running back situation was in 2015, but I now know they have Yeldon and Fournette and Ivory as well, I believe, right?
Yes.
So obviously they put more of an emphasis on running the football now. So obviously those passing numbers are going to go down.
Yeah, also postseason against Pittsburgh. Fournette had about 30 for 3 touchdowns. So
I just believe that that could be a landing spot for Lamar Jackson. But we'll see on draft day. Speaking of draft day, it's coming up. It's only about a month away now. Well, not a month. A couple months months away now. April 26th, Thursday, April 26th is the opening draft night, and obviously it carries over to the next couple of days. And that is our report on the combine and what we want to see our teams do. Moving on to our next topic here, the NHL. It's starting to heat up, man. This is the time of the year where if you're an NHL fan, you start to get excited.
The home stretch.
You know, you're starting to come down to it, and there was a lot of big moves made right before the trade deadline. Dylan, you have a lot of those over at your disposal. Why don't you start diving into some of them?
All right, so I think the biggest there was a lot of big deals, a lot of blockbuster moves, but I think, in my opinion, the one that takes the cake for being the most like the oh shit trade is trade between the Lightning and the Rangers. Tampa Bay Lightning acquired the New York Rangers defensive captain Ryan McDonagh and JT Miller, who was a second round. He's really good. He's still young and he's a really good prospect. But,
right. Obviously, the Rangers are in a rebuilding mode at this point. They're not going to the playoffs this year, so I assume they got draft picks in return.
Oh yeah, the Rangers pulled just fine. They got a first round pick for 2018, a conditional second round pick. They got Nemestikov and 2 prospects. So I think they did just
right.
fine.
So they're getting. I mean, obviously McDonagh. He was very serviceable for them. He was on that team that appeared in the Stanley Cup Finals, I believe.
Yeah.
He's done his time, but obviously it's time to blow that thing up in New York because they're not meeting standards right now.
Yeah, they definitely. Well, how the trades I'm going to read off, the Rangers are involved. But one that they're not involved, I think this is pretty solid. I think the Red Wings got great. I think the Red Wings definitely did great with this pick. Trade. Vegas acquires Tomas Tatar, who was a first, who was like a goal scorer winger from the Red Wings in exchange for a first round pick in next year, the second round pick in 2019, and a third round pick in 2021. It's pretty solid.
Right.
Like Red Wings did well with that trade. A little minor, but still respectable. Blue Jays acquired Thomas Vanek in exchange to the Canucks, in exchange for Jussi Jokinen and Tyler Mott. This one will touch you closely because he was a long time cap. Anaheim Ducks acquired Jason Chimera from the Islanders.
Oh yeah, I'm real affected by that one.
Chimera. This actually surprised a lot of guys because there was always rumors that Evander Kane was going to get traded, but the team he got traded for wasn't. The Sharks weren't all high on the list of potential landing spots for Evander Kane, but the Sharks did get Evander Kane, and the Sabres got the prospect and the conditional first round pick for 2019 and the conditional fourth round pick in 2020. I feel like the Sabres could have gotten more. They should have gotten more, like these higher picks for Evander Kane.
Yeah, with the Sabres, no one's really.
Yeah, I mean,
they're just up there, in basically Canada. They're there.
Yeah, they're kind of just there. But I mean, I think they're a young GM. I think he got exploited in that trade. The Sharks definitely took a big win out of that. Another trade. The Central Division made a lot of trades with each other. Jets acquired Paul Stastny from the Blues in exchange for a conditional first round pick for 2018 and a conditional fourth round pick for 2020 and then prospect.
Speaking of the Central Division, who would have thought at the beginning of the year that the Predators and Jets would be the top 2 teams, and the Blues and Blackhawks would be at the bottom of the division?
Yeah, no, the Predators, I wasn't surprised because of their.
Well, yeah, they're loaded. Obviously, people expected it, but
the Jets,
they're not in the norm to be up there at the top of the division at this point of the season.
Yeah, the Jets, I don't know where they came from, but that definitely surprised me. I mean, Paul Stastny will be a good addition for them. Another big trade between the Predators and the Blackhawks. The Predators acquire Brian Hartman and a fifth round pick. The Blackhawks get a first round pick in next year's draft, a fourth round pick in 2018, and a prospect. Which, I mean, I think the Predators were doing just fine. But I mean, if you wanted to pick your offense more explosive, go for it. And they did just that with Brian Hartman. Not too bad. Let's see here.
Man, the Canadian teams are really struggling this year.
The Canadian teams, I mean,
except outside of Winnipeg and
Toronto's doing pretty good.
Yeah, Toronto, they're probably going to make the playoffs.
Calgary's respectable, not great.
I mean, they're not going to make the playoffs in the West though.
Yeah, I mean, considering the teams are in the West, they'll probably just miss.
Kings, Ducks, Sharks, and Knights are all in the same division. Well, yeah, the Knights, no one could have predicted that.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got the Oilers, the Canucks, the Flames.
Mm-hmm.
Even the
Yep.
Canadians are looking pretty shaky.
I don't know
right now.
what happened to the Canadians. Honestly, I don't know what happened.
Well, I know everyone hates them. No one's sad to be seeing the Canadians struggle, but
Yeah, I mean, what if you win like 20-some Stanley Cups or whatever? I think you don't have much sympathy from them. Like it's like if I asked if the Yankees were like dead last in the AL East, no one's gonna feel sorry for them.
and the PK Subban flop from what was it 1 or 2 years ago? You remember that one against Boston?
Yep. Yeah. You love it.
Took a page out of the LeBron playbook.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, studied under him, studied LeBron a little too much, but it is what it is at that point. Any other big trades? Oh yeah, this was made after the last episode we recorded. Bruins acquired Rick Nash of the Rangers, and the Rangers. I mean, they pulled. They got a first round pick, the Bruins' first round pick. Brian Spooner, Matt Bolesky, Ryan Lindgren with a top prospect and a seventh round pick in the 2019 draft. I don't like the fact that we gave up Ryan Lindgren or and a first round pick. I think Spooner and Bolesky were expendable because the Bruins have such the one thing that they do have is great center depth.
Right.
They already have alone they have Bergeron, Backus, and Krejci go and play center if they wanted. I mean, hell, Backus now just plays wing for the most part. But
Well, it's really looking like the Bruins they're making their push to win this whole thing this year.
yeah, they definitely made the trade with Rick Nash and then acquiring Tommy Anderson and Blackhawks too.
And sometimes when you're in a position to win the whole thing, you kind of take a risk of getting rid of one of your best prospects and draft pick.
Yeah, no. I think the problem was with the Bruins were right in with trading, trying to get Ryan McDonough too. They were in there a lot. I just think I think the Rangers were asking for a little much.
Right.
I feel like I believe if I remember correctly, they were asking for DeBrusk, who is a rookie and is scoring 14 goals as a rookie, is pretty good. They're asking for DeBrusk and another top prospect at least. I mean, it was a little much for Dom Sweeney and Cam Neely to pull the trigger on, but I mean, I'm not mad with Rick Nash at all. I mean, the dude scored I believe at least 2 goals before games played and 2 assists. He's been a great addition to the power play because Patrice Bergeron practically played.
Right. Absolutely. He's a guy who's going to come in and provide instant offense for you, and
Yeah, they're doing just that. And as of the standings working right now, I mean, Lightning have now a 6-point advantage in the Atlantic over the Bruins, who sit at second with 88. The Leafs sit third.
Just to point out, the Lightning have also played 3 more games than the Bruins as well. So
very true. The Bruins, and the Leafs also. And here's another thing too: the Leafs have played 4 more games than the Bruins have played.
Yep, and they sit 3 points in front of them. So.
Yep.
No, it's a very good time to be a Boston fan right now. When is it not? For all the goddamn sports they have.
And well,
why can't we get a hockey team? Why can't we get a hockey team here?
Baltimore. It's the problem. Problem is it's in between Philly and Washington. It's too close. But,
New York gets 18 teams and everything. I don't want to hear that too close crap.
We also don't have a good arena for an NHL game. NHL franchise.
We got Royal Farms.
See, the things filmed the 60s.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Play the freaking Towson. Play the Towson Center.
That is a nice arena.
It is a nice arena. That's why everybody graduates there. except your school, because
But still, it's a nice place.
Does Towson have a hockey team? Probably not.
No, yeah. But now let's look at the Capitals, the Metropolitan team.
I really don't like how hot that team right behind them is right now. No, despite losing 3 straight, they are 6-2-2 in their last 10, and that is concerning. And the Penguins are, they're gonna start turning it on because that's what they do. They're Pittsburgh. They wait till the last minute. That's what
Once Christmas rolls around, like, all right, guys, start playing for real.
Now, I don't think Pittsburgh is gonna go three-peat by any means, but
yeah, I don't think they will either. No chance. And what I will say though is, the standings right now, the Capitals are 81 points, the Flyers at 79, Penguins at 78, the Devils are at 74. This is all within the Metro.
yep, hotly contested division right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's gonna be fun.
It will, and they all play each other a few times coming down the stretch.
Mm-hmm.
The Caps still have one meeting with the Flyers, another meeting with the Penguins, and another meeting with the Devils. So they're all going to see each other before this thing's over.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how the season's going to work. Because
and I know Philly people are like, yeah, they're the Flyers. I don't know. They look legit right now.
I don't think they're Cup winners, but they may win it. They may win the first round.
They could be that. They could be that spoiler team.
They definitely could. I mean, I think I'm really honest with you. If the Flyers got matched up with the Lightning second round, I think that's where their season ends. But
yeah, the Lightning. Yeah, they look pretty. Believe they have the most points in the league right now. Being both conferences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Golden Knights are second with 89. Actually, no, the Predators are right in their ass.
Yep. They're just so explosive, the Lightning.
Yeah, they literally are lightning. I mean, they're electric as hell. It's like Stamkos and Kucherov, and defense spearheaded by Victor Hedman and Strongman and McDonough, and they're going Vasilevsky and playing great hockey. Really took a step forward this year.
You think they can actually fill that stadium up if they make the Stanley Cup final?
I mean, yeah, a bunch of people, retired, who come down from New England and blue collar areas. They could come down to Tampa and retire, and they'll go to the game.
One of my buddies had a couple classes with him in high school. He was actually a Lightning fan.
You're actually a true Lightning fan?
Huh?
I guess you're a true Lightning fan?
Oh yeah, he watched and all that.
Today. Props, because they're pretty freaking rare to sight.
Yeah.
Tampa sports fan in general is very rare to sight. But the whole hockey playoff picture is going to be coming to the wire in both conferences. I mean, I think
it's pretty amazing when you consider.
Actually, no, the Predators might be the unanimous number one right now in the Western Conference.
Yep.
The two could be interesting because the Golden Knights are 89, the Jets are 87. So I mean, pretty close. Or who gets the last wild card? That's going to be interesting because right now I'm not sure I gotta refresh myself how the playoff format works. I think it's just the top 18.
But if you win your division, I think you get the higher seeding. The points don't come in. Points just start coming into play once the two division teams.
Is it 2 or 3?
There's only 2 divisions in each conference, correct?
Yeah, the top. But I thought it was
So I thought the 2 winners were the 1 and the 2, and then the rest were. I could be wrong, but
I think it's I thought it was there's 2 divisions, so the top 3 teams from each division
are automatic, right? And it goes by points. So right now the 3 teams in the Atlantic Division are all higher than the top team in the Metropolitan Division. So would that mean those are the top 3 seeds right there?
Yeah, but okay, so right now.
So right now, Lightning would be 1, and then Caps would be 2, right?
Yes.
and then it fills out accordingly.
How it works? I actually remember. So this is how it works. So Lightning would be so it'd be Lightning, Bruins, Leafs at the Atlantic, and then Caps, Flyers, Pens out of the Metro.
And then 2 wild cards, and that's specifically points.
Yeah, and so what would happen is the Lightning would play the 8 seed,
which
Caps
right now would be the Panthers, Florida Panthers.
Panthers. Okay. Yeah, it would be the Panthers, and the Devils would have 7. So it would be Lightning, Panthers, and then it would be Capitals, Devils. And then the 2 and 3 teams would play each other. So we have a Bruins series, and then we have a Flyers Penguins series.
Pennsylvania might blow up. But yes, that is the current outlook of the NHL right now. Coming down the stretch, only about less than 20 games now for most teams.
Yeah,
so, college basketball, pretty important. March Madness coming up, and most of the conference tournaments are coming up.
It's pretty amazing when you consider that 7 years ago.
Coming up,
Big Ten got the Big Ten started early just so they can play it.
They wanted to play at the Garden. So far, there are 5 automatic bids in the NCAA tournament. Winning the Atlantic Sun Conference is Lipscomb with a 23-9 record. Coming out of the Big South is Radford with a 22-12 record. Coming out of the Big Ten, back-to-back years, Michigan 28-7.
Props. I wasn't sure they were going to beat Michigan State, to be honest with you, but
they look really good. I felt they had control most of that game.
Definitely seemed like it.
Yeah, there's just something about Michigan, man. When it gets to the conference tournament time, they turn it on. And
they know. They definitely know.
Okay, so moving on, we're coming out of the Missouri Valley, Loyola Chicago with a 28-5 record coming out, piping hot. And one of the Ohio Valley rounding out the 5 automatic bids so far is Murray State with a 26-5 record.
Very respectable.
Obviously, the rest of the tournaments will be played throughout this week. It's a fun time to be a college basketball fan right now. But let's dive more into that Michigan run. They didn't have the easiest.
Right now, you have more power.
They didn't have the easiest of opponents coming through the Big Ten tournament. They had to beat Nebraska, who was a very solid team.
Also beat Purdue.
Had to beat Purdue, who they did pretty soundly today by 9 points, and they beat Michigan State by double digits. So, Michigan yet again coming into the NCAA tournament, piping hot on a. Obviously it's not as shocking as last year. Last year they were like the 10 seed in the Big Ten tournament and came all the way and won the whole thing.
Yeah.
But this is a very solid team, and I don't know what their seeding's going to be. I don't know what their seeding's going to be now, but we shall see.
Do you think they're not? So I remember when you talked about the March Madness. I think I mentioned it last week. You talked about Michigan. You thought Michigan was going to be prone to an upset, like a 12-5 upset.
Michigan State. I said that.
Oh, Michigan State. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they proved my point. Why? Because you get into a night when you can't make one of those giant runs, when you get one of them big deficits.
Yeah, you're not playing Northwestern.
Right, you're not playing Northwestern, not playing Maryland. You're playing a team that's trying to win the whole tournament.
Yeah. So.
But let's go over the Big Ten championship that happened today. Purdue coming off a win against Penn State. Speaking of which, I think Penn State cemented their spot in the tournament with a win over Northwestern and then beating Ohio State for the 3rd time this season.
Yeah.
I think that should be enough to get them one of those last 4 spots in, maybe. And they lost a tough one to Purdue just yesterday in a hard-fought game. They ended up losing.
They were hanging in there for.
They were winning.
It's pretty amazing when you can.
I thought it was a silly technical picked up by Pat Chambers late in this first half.
Yeah.
Which capped off a 7-0 run at the end of the quarter to give Purdue a lead at halftime. I don't know. It just looked like Penn State had a lot of momentum going for them, and then you get the technical and you lose the lead. I don't know. I thought it was a questionable decision at the time. At the time of the game, obviously there's some points where it's good to get your team fired up, get it technical, but I don't think that was the moment of the game. But Penn State ended up falling 78-70, and then Purdue ultimately being defeated by Michigan. But let me tell you something. Haas, that big old center from, I don't remember where he's from exactly, 23-8 today. He scored 23 points, 8 rebounds today.
Oh, talking about a Haas from Purdue.
Yeah.
He's like 7 feet tall.
Yeah, he is. And he's going to take them where they want to go in this tournament.
Yeah.
I assume they're going to be I wouldn't see them being any lower than a 3 seed at least.
It's probably going to be a 3.
Yeah, I would think, even with the loss today. I don't know if Michigan jumps where Michigan ends up. They're going to probably be a 3 or 4 as well, to be honest.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. That's definitely reasonable. I mean, I gotta be honest. Like, one of the things that I'm like, we hung out. We were able to watch hockey, and beforehand we watched the Xavier Villanova game, and it's been a like it was just one that game, but Villanova was like shot the lights out as a team. As far as a couple games, but recently that I watched, dude, they shoot the lights out. It's against anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been blown away how many points they would put up. And it's insane how good they are.
They can score it, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's no problem.
I would love to see a Villanova Virginia matchup in the tournament if we can get it.
That too. Virginia at home against Notre Dame. I guess definitely not the Notre Dame team last year. They a little bit of a tougher time than expected.
They did end up winning though, didn't they?
Yeah, they won by 5, but
But yeah, just reading off some of the points Villanova's been able to score this season. Early on, now obviously the competition was a lot lesser at the time, but 113, 104, 85, 90, 94, 88, 87, 95, 93, 103, 89, 100. They can put some points up on the board, that's for sure. Now, the thing is, in some of those times that I was saying 94, 93, they gave up 101 and, 90, 97. They can give it up as well.
Yeah, very true.
Obviously it's very tough to hang in there with them when they're making everything they put up there, but if you can answer, you have a shot at beating them. So that's obviously concerning for them. But let me tell you something. I still think Big East basketball is the most entertaining to watch when they play each other. Because every game, any of them can beat anyone.
Yeah, there's Nova, there's Xavier, there's Creighton, there's Seton Hall, there's Providence of Rhode Island,
Marquette, Butler. Even the teams at the bottom, Georgetown, St. John's, and DePaul, they've had their moments in the sun, all 3 of them.
Yep.
And, Patrick Ewing's currently rebounding Georgetown.
Yeah.
And St. John's and DePaul have been tournament teams as well. So it's just from top to bottom, you never know what you're going to get.
It's a very complete conference.
It is. It is, for sure.
And, the ACC is the ACC, always the teams are always exciting. I think, a team that's been flying a little under the radar, the Hurricanes from out of Miami. Going into Chapel Hill and beating UNC, I think was a pretty quality game.
Sure is.
Further cemented that. I think they probably were going to make the tournament, but I think definitely have that seeding.
I have a legitimate question for you.
Okay.
Are the Oklahoma Fighting Trae Youngs going to make the tournament?
Oklahoma Fighting Trae Youngs.
That's a serious question.
I think they need to win 2 games tournament to be.
I mean, they're 18-12 with I mean, they beat Wichita and they beat Texas Tech. And they beat Kansas. They have a couple quality wins, but
I mean,
I don't know. The wheels are kind of coming off right now.
yeah, I mean, recently they got their door.
They got to play Oklahoma State in the first round of the tournament, and Oklahoma State just went and destroyed Kansas yesterday. So they're going to be flying high. They're also going to be fighting for a tournament spot if they win a couple of these conference games. I mean, if Oklahoma goes out in the first round, you can kiss their bid goodbye completely.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. I think if you're Oklahoma, you need to win 2 games to get it. Because one game, Oklahoma State, okay, but then that second game
You're going to play Kansas.
Second round, if you can get one very good quality win, then playing Kansas or West Virginia or whatever, or Texas Tech.
I'm pretty sure it'd be Kansas. Would be
Kansas, okay.
They end up playing.
Your shot at redemption. You want to get in the tournament, you beat Kansas.
That's what it comes down to. And Lord only knows the last time Kansas went 1 and done in the Big 12 tournament. So.
Yeah. Kansas usually you might as well give them the Big 12 championship now. Recently.
So yeah, it ain't looking good for them. That's for sure.
Nope, they definitely, right after they play West Virginia. I mean, train it off the tracks real quick. Lost like 6 in a row.
Yep.
Definitely didn't know.
So some very interesting stories going into March Madness. Who is going to punch their ticket in this conference championship? Don't always want to leave it up to question with the committee because they've pulled some shockers before.
Yeah, you got that right. Do you have like any? I mean, I know you mentioned about St. Bonaventure last episode. Is there any team that maybe in the ACC or the Big East or the Pac-12 that could be sneak into the tournament and make some moves?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Oklahoma State impressed me a lot yesterday with that win. And obviously it's just a glimpse, and they have to do it, more than once. But they swept Kansas in the regular season. They have a win over West Virginia. They have a few quality wins, so beating Oklahoma would be a good start. Then they're going to go on to play Kansas. The thing is, can you beat Kansas 3 times in one season? That's going to be interesting to see. So, Oklahoma State is Wednesday on March 7th at 7 p.m. Definitely one to check out because it's going to seal both those teams' fates. It could seal both those teams' fates depending on what happened. But, all right, guys, that's going to wrap up the show for today. Any last comments you want to throw in, Dylan?
I guess I just wanted to talk about one quick subject I forgot to mention. So, where's Kirk Cousins going to land?
Yeah, that is a very good question. If I were him, I'd go to the Denver Broncos.
But did you see his Instagram post?
What was it?
He still happened to run into Larry Fitzgerald in Atlanta, and he mentioned how good of a recruiter Fitzgerald was. So I mean.
Well, yeah, you take one of the best receivers ever, and he starts telling you to come play for you. I think that's a pretty good tactic.
Yeah, but I mean, even I think about Arizona could fit.
I mean, they do need a quarterback. Palmer just retired, but
they need a quarterback.
Are they going to win next year?
Good question.
How much is Cousins going to win? Now, I saw the Jets on his list, and if that guy has any sense, he will stay as far away from the Jets as possible.
Yeah. No, I mean it's a little like the Cardinals still have Patrick Peterson, still have the Honey Badger. They have Chandler Jones. I mean, they have pieces. I think they need to.
Still have David Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, I think they could do just fine with the offense there now. I think the offense can get done. Their front seven's a question mark. But I think their back four will be just fine. So who's back there? That's it. I would not be surprised if he went to Arizona. I mean, I'm leaning towards Denver, where he should go. But I mean, I would not be surprised if I see him go to Arizona.
Yep. That would be interesting to see here in the coming weeks.
Yes, sir. Only time will tell.
But that's going to do it for us tonight, guys. Thank you for watching. Let us know what you liked about the show, what you didn't. Anything to close out, Dylan?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Anything to close out with?
Nothing too much. Yeah, like this episode's kind of a little shorter because I mean, there's more news, nothing like too. I mean.
Yeah, there's nothing really big happening right now. You know, it's kind of the calm before the storm, really. So.
Yeah, I feel like next week's episode, considering conference tournament wrap ups and all that.
Yep.
But yeah, I think I'm good to go for this episode.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on the Dynamic Podcast.